These are the meaty ones, all right?
Yeah.
Best narrative: Plague Tale, Elden Ring, God of War, Horizon Forbidden West, Immortality. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Plague Tale I cannot comment on. I've heard good things. Okay. Again, Platinum Elden Ring, Platinum God of War, 100% at Horizon. I am at the end of Immortality, but I'm not beating it because I want to collect all of the reels for it before I beat
Right.
it.
What's your
Outstanding
pick
storytelling and narrative in a game development. In a game.
in a game development?
My personal pick is God of War. It really is.
Okay.
No game affected me the way that God of War did on this list with all of my time with them. I loved Horizon. I love Immortality. Elden Ring, I don't even know if it should be in this category. My personal pick is God of War. I don't think it's gonna win though for best narrative. I really don't, and I just have that sneaking suspicion, and I couldn't tell you out of the other ones that will win, but I have a sneaking suspicion it could actually be Plague Tale, which I think is a fucking absolute joke, by the way.
Ah, okay. I see that.
Anyway, that's all I really have for you. My choice is God of War. I think it's a toss-up who wins.
I can see that being a steal there. I see what you're saying when you say Elden Ring shouldn't be nominated for this category, but I think it does do storytelling, but it does it in its own Dark Souls way where, you have to find out everything yourself and,
Yeah, but
and it
narrative
does have a deep
development.
lore. I mean, the world they built,
Yeah,
the
yeah, but
narrative, the
they
world they
don't
built.
develop the narrative themselves, though.
What does that have to do with anything?
You have to find the narrative.
Oh, I see
Whatever.
what you mean. He
Yeah.
developed the narrative with George R. R. Martin and all,
All right.
but
Yeah, whatever.
um, I think that you're right. I mean, it could be a steal in terms of like a Plague Tale. I'm sorry, Horizon Forbidden West. This was a bad year for you, man. You're just gonna get fucked in every category. I think.
Just like it did last time with Zelda.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That sucked. Oh, that sucked for them.
Yeah.
But I also don't think Horizon is. This is a separate conversation. But I don't think Horizon is
It's
the
not as
greatest
it's not as narratively strong as God of War.
or Last of Us.
It's no way. And I love specifically Forbidden West's story. I think is really awesome. But it's not the best.
So, honestly, yeah, I don't know.
What's your choice?
I mean, I want God of War to win.
Mm-hmm.
I want God of War. I agree with you that it could be Plague Tale or Elden Ring. I know you said Plague Tale, but I'm saying I agree with you. It could be Plague Tale, but I think Elden Ring could steal it too.
Okay. Wacky third option is Immortality, which
I
is
mean, could you
great.
imagine,
It's very
dude?
interesting.
Immortality is up for so many awards, and I feel like nobody talks about it. It's a game that I saw one day and I told you about, and like we're the only ones that I know that have ever even talked about this game.
Yeah. All right. Last two categories. Best game direction. Awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. Elden Ring, God of War, Horizon, Immortality, Stray.
Josh,
Brett.
this one is going to Elden Ring.
I agree. That's my personal choice, and I think that's who will win. Can I tell you why?
Please do.
Once again, I have pretty much platinum and 100% at all of these games. Okay. I think I know what I'm talking about right now. Okay. Love God
We
of
get
War.
it, dude.
Love God of War. Really do. Love Horizon. Truly do. Love Immortality. Very, very much do. Stray, I think, is fine. Tell you what Elden Ring has that the rest of these games don't. Trust in its player. Trust that their
Wow.
player is going to do. Am I wrong?
That's great. Yeah, that was awesome.
It trusts its player. As much as I love God of War, leave me alone. Let me play you. Do not play me. Horizon, leave me alone. Let me play you. Do not play me. Immortality, you don't even really play. Stray, is a clunky mess at points. Elden Ring gets out of its own way and lets you experience it. And it takes you through its world in ways that are creative, that are directed from a design perspective, that don't get in your way. You're not inundated with menus and tutorials. And it is a game that is meticulously crafted that lets you play it and experience it. And the game leads you, it does not play you. You can do it however you want. Here's the world, go explore. And that takes meticulous crafting and direction and design.
Wow. I could not have said it any better than that. I don't even know what to say to follow that up. I think God of War might have stood a chance if, and no ill will towards the director of God of War Ragnarok, but let's just say Cory Barlog was not at the helm this time, and I think a lot of that game direction stuff, besides the narrative, was kind of already laid out with the previous God of War.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is going to Elden Ring.
All right. And then last but certainly not least, Brett, Game of the Year. Game of the Year. Recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. The nominees are the same as the previous category, minus...
Which is insane.
Yeah. Or with the addition of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which doesn't even make sense to me. All these other games are nominated leading up to this with all this stuff. I know people love Xenoblade. Let's just get Xenoblade out of the way. Let's just get Stray out of the way. Those games aren't it.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
I'm even going to argue that A Plague Tale Requiem is not it. The only 3 strong contenders here are Elden Ring, Ragnarok, and Forbidden West.
I agree. And I want to play Plague Tale, don't get me wrong. But
I'm not saying I don't.
A game that runs at 30 FPS is not winning Game of the Year. Okay.
I don't think that is what they're considering, but
well,
okay.
I would be. Because that's a joke. Okay. Everything that we said for the last category, Brett, I think applies to this. But I'll let you go ahead first. It's your turn.
Recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. This is the overall best game that has released this year.
Yeah. This is a really, really, really good Game of the Year category.
For these 3?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, when you have a year where Stray squeaks its way into Game of the Year, I don't know if it's the best Game of the Year nominees ever, but
well, I mean, listen, it has 3 really strong contenders
for sure.
But I really think the only 2 contenders are God of War and Elden Ring. But it's just
I agree with you. Listen, I'm going to make this plain and simple with you. I loved Elden Ring. Elden Ring, and you can kind of already see where I'm going with this, but Elden Ring, like you said, for everything it does right, it did not emotionally impact me. I was not affected by Elden Ring, except when I go, yo, that was so fucking cool. Or when I get emotionally affected by, yo, I want to fucking kill myself right now. This game is trash and I hate it and it's so hard and I just want to die. Sure, it emotionally affects me that way. But that aside, nothing this year has affected me in gaming as much as God of War Ragnarok. And I know it's not the game that makes you feel award, but in terms of the game that did the most for me, the game that gave me, the most bang for my buck, it told me a beautiful story and a beautiful world with beautiful acting and beautiful characters. That's God of War Ragnarok, man. The cast of characters we have in this game are unlike any other. The thing about Elden Ring that really is disappointing is the thing that makes it so great, in that you said it perfectly. They let you do it all. They put the trust in you. They put the controller in your hand and they say, go ahead and do it. And I think that that's the biggest draw and also the biggest flaw in Elden Ring is they can't control the experience 100%. And in doing so, it opens up certain situations. It opens up certain flaws and certain things that you might not notice otherwise. So Elden Ring is great and it is a phenomenal game. And it, it is the Dark Souls of this generation. It is going to influence so many other games moving forward. And if this was the influence award, like yeah, I mean, so many Soulsborne games exist now because of Dark Souls and Bloodborne, right? And I'm sure a lot of games are going to take inspiration from Elden Ring, but the whole package, everything you want in a video game, or anything I want in a video game for that matter, is God of War Ragnarok. And that was a long-winded answer, but basically, Elden Ring, you're pretty good, and I love you, and you are a great game, but move over because God of War Ragnarok is game of the year.
I agree for everything that you said. And I'll make one addition and one disagreement, actually, with what you said. The one
Please
addition
do.
is the technical field. Elden Ring, not a technical marvel. I know it's an open
No,
world game, but in every way, compared to a lot of other games on this list, not Plague Tale since it runs at 30 FPS, Elden Ring is not a technical achievement. Design, art achievement, certainly. Gameplay achievement, certainly. Technical achievement, no. Marred with issues at launch, right? Still doesn't run great. A lot of things. And I'm going to make a disagreement with you on the fact that this is not the Fields Award. For me, it is. And
interesting. We have someone in the chat that said it's not.
I know. And I think that a lot of people that are part of the voting body for this, right, will vote feelings. That's a human thing. God of War is my personal choice. And it's the game that affected me the most emotionally. I think it is the best technical game on this list, right? It runs at 120 FPS on PlayStation 5. It's immaculate.
One take.
It's beautiful. It is, I did have a few issues, but virtually no flaws, no issues. Horizon did have some at launch. It's a technical marvel, and I know it's technically a PS4 game, but so is Horizon Forbidden West. And the narrative that it tells is large in scope, but really, really, really focused in its characters, right? Really, really tightly controlled, well-presented narrative. And I think back about our conversation about Last of Us Part 2 years ago. And we voted with our hearts then, and it won. And that's what I'm going to do again now. And I love Elden Ring. I think it's a fantastic, fantastic game. But to me, you can't beat character and narrative, and God of War has that, and it also has that technical stuff for it as well. So
yeah.
And I know Ant says that it's going to take it because it's still in the public consciousness. You would think that, but it's actually not if you look at the charts. It's not charting.
Really?
It's not charting anymore. So, not that it won't get a bump, and not that it wasn't. I mean, it was a zeitgeist game. It led the charts for months, and it probably lost last month because of God of War. But I don't really think that has to do with it. I think recency could play into it too. And if you look at the voting body, I think that it's going to go to God of War because a lot of those people don't like that there's no UI clutter all over the place.
I want to celebrate Elden Ring, even though it's not my pick, because the Souls franchise started off as this niche thing that even I was unaware of for a long time. And it started from the bottom, quite literally, and now we're here. And it's not for everyone. And I think even Christian puts it here in chat. He says, I think Elden Ring wins, blah, 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 blah. That's coming from a dude who played for 2 hours, right? So the game is clearly not for everyone. But that game was in that public zeitgeist for a long time, to Ant's point. And a lot of people, talked about this game and literally, in our words, sucked it off.
Right.
Elden Ring is a game that it did get a lot of talk. And you know what? God of War Ragnarok didn't. It's like God of War Ragnarok is a game like you had to play the first one. So there's that barrier there. And it's like no one's really talking about it. But the people that are talking about it, nothing but praise, right? And I'm not trying to compare the two in that regard. I'm just trying to see how they stack up here. I want to just say, congrats, Elden Ring. Congrats, Miyazaki. Congrats, From Software, to where you were able to take this style of game from the bottom all the way to the game of the year, category. Who would have thought that
they've been here before? Sekiro, remember?
Right. I'm not saying, but I did not think Sekiro stood a fucking chance then.
Yeah.
This time they do. They really do have a really good chance of winning the Game of the Year award and many other awards as well. So who would have thought, Dark Souls could eventually be Game of the Year. Demon Souls could eventually be Game of the Year material, right? So, good luck to both games. Good luck to all the games in this category, really. I mean, what a huge upset it could be if Stray or Xenoblade take this award.
I've never played Xenoblade, so I'm not going to comment on it, but if Stray fucking wins or if Plague Tale wins, God, if fucking Plague Tale wins, dude, look out for the fucking back to 30 FPS. It's fine. Let's just fucking give them money. Who cares?
I love how that's the one thing you care about.
I can't fucking stand it, dude. It makes me sick. It makes me sick. So to wrap it up, Brett, we're saying God of War Ragnarok is Haptic Intel's 2022 Game of the Year, correct? And the only thing you have to know is that my desktop background is literally the God of War logo. So there you go.
Listen, are we biased a little bit?
Sure. Do I give a fuck? Absolutely.
It's our cup of tea. It's what we like. If you're watching this, you probably are like-minded, and you probably, unless you watching us for the first time, you're probably like-minded and that you might agree with us. But I'm not saying any of those games are bad games.
You can certainly disagree with us.
For sure. You don't have to agree. But you have to see our point. And I know people like our friend Dan that are like, fuck all Sony first party narrative games. They all suck. They're all, and he's like a true Elden Ring. Like, that's the only game Dan plays are the Souls games.
Yeah, but Dan didn't fucking platinum Elden Ring and spend 90 hours in it, did he? No. And I did, and I platinumed both, and I'm telling you that God of War is better. So
that's right. I also platinumed Elden Ring.
That's right, you did.
All
Discussion over.
Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to Haptic Intel. Did you do it? Subscribe right now.